Bases dropped on Soccer's morning show. Soccer Down here. Thanks for hanging out with us as you always do every single Monday through Friday, 9:05 Eastern Time, as we traditionally deal in Turner Time and get things started at 5 after the hour. Busy day this morning. Got some TV stuff to talk about, have some business stuff to talk about. There was an announcement that came on about 20 minutes before we came on the air this morning. We'll get into. So there's TV news involving the men's national team. There's TV news involving the NWSL. There's USMNT news on the field, at least we think, and we'll get into that. And interesting stuff out of the USL. And it's a story that came from Stephen Bank on his Twitter feed, and something that we see in European leagues a lot, but I think this is the first time that we've seen it here in the States. We'll get into that involving the Charlotte Independents. We have the latest with Aaron Ramsdale and Richarlison. The question of the day, which is kind of a carryover from yesterday, but John here and Jarrett there. Jarrett, good morning.
Good morning. How are we doing?
Trying to sort out what can be sorted out this time of year, and
Silly season. We can't sort anything out.
Yeah, but that's why we always try to present everything the way that it is. And let's see.
You have a choice. You can either understand everything that's happening, or you can slip into a bout of you will slip into a bout of insanity doing so, or you can just let it flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and just kind of watch, like, instead of trying to stop the car rolling down the hill, just watch it roll.
Yeah, there you go.
You're under no obligation to stop the car yourself.
As long as the car is insured, yeah. Or if it's not your car.
It's probably not your car.
Okay, just checking. I mean, that's...
You're creating more work for yourself if you just don't stop the car. Just let go.
Don't stop the car. It's kind of like Joel in Risky Business with the Porsche on the pier. The more that you try to keep the Porsche from going into the lake, the worse it's going to be for you. And we know what it cost Joel in Risky Business, but he did in fact get the Porsche saved, and it was vacuumed out, and all the fish got poured out, and so it was by the end of Risky Business, it was a successful venture for Joel as what he was trying to perform. But opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. And, of course, how I've positioned myself here in the house on the beach in a very Hemingway fashion. It pretty much blocks out my face this morning as I'm trying to block out glare from behind, glare from above. And so how I'm sitting, the QR code from our friends at Kickoff Coffee is blocking out my face, and Jarrett's avatar is fine. Once again, kickoffcoffeeco.com, Kickoff Coffee CO, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. Get your 15% off discount for everything when you purchase stuff from Kickoff Coffee. That's the official term, stuff. And they, in turn, take 10% and roll it into the youth game. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So I know that a lot of folks, since we are here in silly season and we're trying to keep the Porsche from going into the lake, there are two names that Atlanta United fans are still locked into. And it's Alexander Cayens, and it is now. All right, so you got a clarification on the pronouncer for the last name for Giakoumakis. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's my understanding that I had it wrong. Giakoumakis.
Giakoumakis. Okay, so
I watch a lot of the game, running around the house, like children running everywhere doing stuff. Half the time I'm having stuff, like, even if I'm like watching it while I'm working, I'll have it like on mute.
Mm-hmm.
So Giakoumakis is the pronunciation I've heard most frequently, not Giakoumakis, but Giakoumakis.
Right. So we're gonna go with Giakoumakis. And morning to Sean, who's probably plotting his next round of golf. Yeah, Niall, and that's part of what we're getting into with the Cayens, NYCFC, and Giakoumakis. So what's the latest from you going down the rabbit hole of information trying to find out the latest on Giakoumakis?
Okay, so let's keep this in understanding that a lot of what we're seeing is one-sided. We're getting it from Fabrizio Romano, which is a valued source, but we're not getting anything from the United States yet.
No.
I feel like you would expect to get something, you know, and it hasn't. I feel like you would expect to have heard something, but you haven't yet. So it sounds like right now, like the last report I saw was that he was linked to a club in the J League, and that the last report we saw was that, I believe it's from the Scottish Daily Record, was that uh, Atlanta United was basically told, if you want him, you have to match this offer, which they could do if they wanted to. I feel like what is it going to be, 4 or 5 million? That's something
Euro,
Atlanta can do. Atlanta can do that in their sleep,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Whether or not they want to remains to be the question that we need answered. And then beyond that, then you also have to deal with the fact of, how serious is it? Because again, we're hearing one side of the story right now.
Right.
So that's where my mind is at. There's like this angst that exists in Glasgow about the whole thing, because they they like him there.
Yes.
He led the Eredivisie in goals, came to Glasgow, led Scotland in goals, and split time at striker and led the league in goals. So obviously they know there's something there that they like. So
Yeah. And so, I mean,
we'll
and
see.
it's,
We'll
it's a
see. I mean,
price point.
there hasn't been anything concrete. There hasn't been any. I haven't seen anything out of Scotland or the United States about it. But yeah, at this point, you're just kind of wondering, like, is this going to happen? What are you looking at? So I don't know. We just have to wait and see. But
Yeah.
this does feed into a conversation that I've been having for the last while, by the way. And I've been trying to make a point to people
Right.
that just because you didn't see rumors popping off every 5 minutes didn't mean Atlanta wasn't in a window shopping somewhere. I was
Correct.
legitimately getting a little bit pissed off about having to have this conversation. And I know that sounds really stupid and petty and childish, but just because you're not popping off in every single rumor under the damn sun doesn't mean you're not shopping. You know what I mean?
Yes. Absolutely.
So
And
yeah.
that's the
So
that's the
there's
key.
probably other people. There's
Just
probably
because you
other
don't
people
hear
they're
any,
looking at.
yeah.
Yeah, there's probably other
And
people they're
the
looking at they haven't gotten to, that they haven't heard
right.
rumors of yet. Sorry, go
Correct.
ahead.
And that's just the notion that just because you don't hear any, and this is going to drive, like I said, when I go double, triple negative, this is what drives my mother, the English major, crazy. Is just because you haven't heard anything doesn't mean that there isn't anything going on. It's probably the best way that I can phrase what we hear or don't hear from Atlanta United, or or any team, frankly. I mean, we didn't know that the Jean Duran thing was going on with the Chicago Fire and Aston Villa, and then yesterday morning we get that dropped on us for 18 plus 4. So just because you've got from the other side of whatever body of water you're talking about here, just because you don't hear anything about Yakimakis, just because you don't hear anything about Alexander Kynes, doesn't mean that it's not going on. Once again, for
It
double
doesn't
negative.
mean people. It does not mean that they're literally sitting on their hands and refusing to do their job, and like they're just. It almost feels like this cartoonish villain thing of the front office is just incompetent, and literally not only are they incapable of building a successful team, but they're just not doing their jobs. Like, they're not just sitting there on their hands trying to let things die. They're going to be out searching. It's their job. Their livelihoods depend on that.
Yes.
So I'm sure there's other names, like I said, though, to consider the fact that Yakumakis has not been, we haven't seen anything from the from the American side of things yet. I do think we have to consider that we haven't seen anything from the American side. So we'll see if rumors stop popping up. We'll see if Tom Boger puts anything out there. Um, we'll see if there's anything to this.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on Giakoumakis. We mentioned Jean Duran just for the sake of coming back in circle here. It looks like Duran is flying over. He's flying over to be a part of Aston Villa. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. But 18+4, good piece of business. Combine that with what we saw from Gaga Slanina. So it's been a very, very busy inbound for Jean Duran and for the Chicago Fire. Good pieces of business, and let's see what they do with it. Latest on Alexander Callens. Looks like the search flipped to the Paraguayan Bruno Valdez. Luis Fragasi yesterday said no negotiation for Callens. He's not on the Boca's radar. They were going to chase after
this
another.
Thing is so weird, man.
Yeah. So Callens was on Boca's radar. Then they're not, and then Bruno Valdez is the individual that it looked like Boca was focused on, and Valdez was doing medicals yesterday. And according to Diego Montalvan, Valdez is a right-sided center back. Callens could still be an option. But all it is right now involving Alexander Callens is flat talk. And so that's what we're staring at with Alexander Callens. One of the top guys on the list for anybody in Major League Soccer. And right now, Alexander Callens is there in that ether of yes, no, maybe. And so no one knows, is Boca still chasing? Some say yes, some say no. Once again, check your sourcing and all of this, but understand that this information is coming from multiple directions with folks who have certain ideas in mind about how they want information presented. So Callens to Boca still being discussed. Bruno Valdez signed by Boca because he held up the jersey. We know it's official when that happens. So Valdez held up the jersey with Boca yesterday. Callens, right-sided center back, could still be pursued if Boca sees it. But right now, we're in that zone of yes, no, maybe with Callens as well, as you continue to figure out who wants Alexander Callens, and he's at the top of the Atlanta United list, obviously, for 2023 and beyond. So, yes, he's out there, and we still don't know.
Yeah, he's the guy that people want, and it sounds like New York City is also still involved in this conversation with him. If he wants DP money, I don't know that he gets it here. I don't know that he gets it in ML. I don't know if there's a team in MLS that's going to give him DP money.
Right.
I would be very interested to see if that is something that happens for him.
Yes. And who wants to step up to the plate for that kind of dollar?
Yeah, because if he wants that kind of money, yeah, you're gonna be looking at Europe, or you're gonna be looking at a Boca, that sort of thing. You're looking outside the league
because you don't have a salary cap.
Yes, you're gonna be looking at places that don't have restrictions on what they can and can't pay you. So we'll see. We shall see.
Yes, and for those who've been asking in the Twitch pitch, let me get the latest because Michelle Kaufman had posted stuff involving South Florida and Inter Miami, and I want to go back in line here, and I want to get it right as to how she phrased it yesterday. But yesterday, her evening, and once again, that's the thing, is like you'd like to just sit there. Okay, Michelle Kaufman yesterday can confirm Joseph Martinez is in South Florida once again, 24 hours ago. Deal approved by the league, some final paperwork before official announcement in the coming days. And so it looks like it might be tomorrow, according to some sources. But that's the latest from Michelle Kaufman at the Miami Herald when it comes to Joseph Martinez and that particular part of this equation. So that's your latest.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we're kind of. I feel like we are guinea pigs in a cage getting drip fed the Joseph thing. Like we know. It's weird, man, because it's like it's a story where you know what the ending is at this point. Let's not get it twisted. You know what the ending is. Everyone is deep in their emotions with it, and completely understandably so. For what he was when he was in Atlanta.
No doubt.
Now you have kind of the answer of like what it's gonna be, but it's just now you're just kind of waiting for the trip feed to finish. When do we get there? You know what I mean?
Yes, and you have to make sure that everything is
Now,
official.
Atlanta United Twitter is always a mess.
Yes, that is
Atlanta United Twitter is never not a mess.
Yes,
I want to make that part clear.
yes,
It's Atlanta United Twitter is always in their emotional state, and that's fine because it's an emotional game. Like as long as it's like my biggest issue is ever when it gets like personal. When it starts becoming a thing of like personal attacks, that's not acceptable. Grow the hell up. Act like an actual adult for once in your life.
yes.
When it gets personal, as far as like getting mad and getting emotional, yeah, the game's emotional. The sport is emotional. Our fandom is emotional, and yeah, Joseph Martinez meant a lot to a lot of people. So yeah, of course, of course, it's a mess right now on just the raw emotional side of it. I don't doubt that for a second. I don't really blame people for being emotional. I mean, it's like I said, it kind of is where it is right now. You're just trying to figure out, I think, what it looks like going forward. Who is it you go get?
Yeah.
Because this was the thing. I think Yakumakis is the first guy I guess we've really seen linked. Yeah. As a striker.
Yep.
Let's have a conversation about the absolute pressure that is going to be on whoever you put in that spot.
True.
No matter who becomes that next striker, there is going to be an obscene amount of pressure on them to get the job done because they are following a guy who was a club legend, who has murals about him, who was on an unbelievable record-breaking pace before his ACL injury.
Yep.
There's a lot to live up to for whoever gets that, whether it's Giacomakis, whether it's another striker from South America, whether it's somebody from Europe, whoever it might be, whoever you get, the pressure is going to be a lot.
Realistic or otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
And adding to the mix, Luis Miguel Echegaray, he says, Joseph's deal is set, and this was once again about noon yesterday. Deal's done. A great addition for a club in a city that has Venezuela literally everywhere. Official announcement should come Wednesday. So that's from Luis Miguel Echegaray. But yeah, I mean, good or bad.
Bart's calling for Olivier Giroud. Absolutely, yes. Bart, you put that right in my veins.
Oh,
Olivier Giroud here in a second, and I would not flinch one bit.
No.
And to Niall's point, yeah, no, I don't know if anyone's going to ever replicate what Joseph did. Yeah, because again, over those, over that amount of time, yeah, Joseph was. I mean, Joseph was. We talked about this the other day, and I've talked about this before. Joseph was on a pace to basically put it, if he had kept up the pace, if he doesn't get hurt, if he keeps up the pace, he was on a pace to put the goals in a career in MLS record out of reach. Like he was on a video game pace.
Yeah, absolutely.
What he did through 17, 18, and 19 was video game. It was a cartoon. So yeah, Niall, you're right. Kefsi, I messed it up yesterday. Don't give me credit of Giacomakis. For some reason, I called him Giacomakis yesterday because I don't know, man. My brain short-circuited or something. Very much the incorrect pronunciation. So don't give me too much credit. I absolutely got it wrong yesterday. But yeah, Giacomakis.
I mean, that's, but hey, that's you have one day and then you sit there and you rebuild it the next. But that's the thing.
Yeah.
Realistic or otherwise, And we always know about expectations when it comes to stars and departures and those kinds of things. When a star disappears, when a star leaves your favorite organization, there's always going to be the unfair expectation of repetition. So
Yeah.
whomever it is, hell, it could have even been CR37 or Lionel Messi. You bring in
Thank God it's
somebody, it
not.
doesn't matter, but just the notion of whomever it is, that individual is going to sit there and have the unfair expectation of repetition placed upon them of, well, okay, well, we expect you to be like so and so, but you're not so and so. It's like, well, you're not that guy. And we've had that in pick your favorite team, pick your favorite player, that player departs, and then all of a sudden it's like you brought in somebody new, and it's like the substitute teacher. It literally is like the substitute teacher. You're not my favorite teacher, and I'm not going to, what, you get that kind of that angst and anger that's attached to it. So, and
It's going
yeah,
to be
and
tough.
OG is correct. Nostalgia is a hella drug. You are not kidding. And that's what you got here for whomever is coming in town.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's going to be tough for whoever does it, because you're in a situation where you're asking them, hey, welcome to Atlanta. This fan base is already pretty intense. They expect trophies. Also, the guy you're replacing was for 3 years arguably the most terrifying striker in North America. So
Mm-hmm.
there's that.
Yeah.
Like not even just MLS, but in Mexico and Canada, arguably on this tectonic plate,
Mm-hmm.
the most terrifying human being with the ball at their feet in front of goal. You're replacing him. Godspeed. Try not to die.
Yeah. And Michael Head brings up the notion of P.T. Martinez. He says that he was no fan of P.T., but the comparison to Miggy for he and Barca must have killed their confidence.
And it was so weird, Michael. I mean, you bring it up, but like, I don't disagree with you because, like, the thing is, um, they're not the same player. Like, anybody who's watched him in England now, and I'm glad people in England are getting to see him and getting to see what he is. Like, we gone over this. Like, you don't just replace Miguel Almiron because he's a damn unicorn. Like, he was a physical unicorn of a human being. Dude was faster with the ball at his feet than without it. He had such a unique skill set, and he was such a physical freak for being basically 85 pounds soaking wet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think, yeah, it's an interesting argument to have because it's I think it really is unfair to ask anybody to hey, here's the Almiron replacement, or here's the Nagby replacement. Like, guys aren't built in the factory. This is not like my F-150 died and I'm gonna get another F-150. Like, you find different guys who might have similar skill sets, but they're not gonna be the same human being. They're not gonna be the same player. It's it's tough, and it's tough to it's because we talk about it like, but those comparisons are real, man. Like, those comparisons are very real. Of, oh, is he exactly like this guy? No. Well, but I loved this guy. I know you did.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to at some point separate it, and we have to at some point let it go, and that sucks because no one ever really wants to let it go, and I don't necessarily blame them.
No. Remember the good old days. Remember the halcyon days when we had, insert player here and we were doing A, B, C, D, and E.
Ugh.
Having a consistency when it comes to success is about as atypical as it gets.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean,
And
look at what New York City's going through right now. Look at that roster compared to the team that won MLS Cup a couple
yeah,
years ago.
yeah,
It's so tough to sustain. Greg Garza talked about it that Friday, and I'm glad he did because even just like despite art when he was disagreeing, like, I was so happy to hear him talk about it because I wanted to get his perspective on it. That it is tough for teams to keep guys together. If they want to, they'll find a way. And but I think it is tough in some respects because some guys will, especially in this era now where you have so many MLS players who are like looking for that move. I think it's tough to keep them here if they want to make that move. Like, Date Castellanos wanted to go to Europe. So,
he eventually got
he eventually got to Europe.
Yeah,
but it's tricky, man. It's tough. But yeah, look at what New York's dealing with. Like, that whole roster is something else, man. It is something else.
Yes. Yes, OG. This is a safe space. That is what we try to have every single day. With psychoanalysis down here, it's just everybody can just go ahead and prop their feet up on the couch, turn sideways, put your head on the pillow, and let us know what's going on. We want you to talk it out. We don't want you to internalize. We want everybody to let us know what's on your mind. Because if you held it in, it would be counterproductive, and then it would be just me and Jarrett talking for 2 hours every day.
Hey, absolutely. And to the Zlatan comment, Parzival, Zlatan can say whatever he wants because the man literally, like, I am forever amused by Zlatan because he did, like, Zlatan came and conquered MLS. You didn't conquer shit. You won a couple regular season games, and you got into the playoffs. And I don't see any hardware. I don't see any hardware with the Galaxy from your time being there. That's not a thing that I see.
You got the come on award.
Great. You scored one of the most insane goals I've ever seen in MLS.
Yes.
Great work. Congratulations.
Good on you.
Yeah, I mean, Miami Dolphins have a number of fantastic, like, game-winning Miami Miracle-esque plays. The New Orleans Saints completed one of the greatest, like, lateral, circus plays ever against the Jaguars, like, 20 years ago. Coco's going to hear this and laugh as well.
And just kind of mumble under breath.
Yeah, well, I mean, because he's down there, not so because he's a Saints fan. Thomas, on the other hand,
yes,
I'll be getting angry messages later. But they completed one of the greatest, like, circus lateral plays you've ever seen, and John Carney shanked the extra point. And this is back when the extra point was like a chip shot from the 2.
Yes,
this isn't like Mar missing 4 extra points, 4 out of 5, and screwing the over under of the Cowboys game last night. This was like, yeah, it's great that you did all of these things. Like, you did a great job of like pulling off this amazing, insane lateral play. Great job. Oh, you missed the extra point, so you didn't go to the playoffs anyway? Well, nevertheless. Like, it's great that you scored an amazing goal. Zlatan didn't win anything in MLS. Didn't win any hardware.
It's not going to stop him from talking about revisionist history, though.
Zlatan's going to be that dude. Like, Zlatan, don't do this like the U.S. military. We're going to run into a country, stomp everything into the ground, then run out of there and claim victory, man. Don't be that. But Zlatan is Zlatan. And to be fair, like, Zlatan's entire
being 10-1 to what, 13-3 in a decade and a half. Because the United States military was 10-1 according to Bill Murray in the movie Stripes, and then I think you went from 10-1 to 13-3 or 13-4.
That's like the Eagles finishing out the season, just refusing to get that last win. But yeah, man, like, yeah, I'm always up to slander Zlatan just because, dude, you didn't win any hardware, and we measure our sports by hardware. It's great that you
conquered me.
He has a ton of individual records and individual marks that he should absolutely, like, hang a banner for. But he didn't win MLS Cup.
Ricky, does Brett Maher still have a job this morning? Does Brett Maher still have a job?
Peyton Manning asked on the Manning Cast, which if you've never watched, the Manning Cast is the only way to watch Monday Night Football.
Yes.
The Manning Cast is Peyton Manning in hell. That's what it is.
And Eli poking the bear the entire time.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's Peyton Manning watching bad football is something I didn't know that I enjoyed as much as I enjoy, because he is such a machine, and I think his brain does operate in zeros and ones. about the game of football that, like, when it's poorly done, you can just see how much his just little parts of his soul are breaking off in pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll just see something awful, and Eli will just sit there with a smirk like a little brother. Gosh, Peyton, that seemed like a bad play. And Peyton is like about to take fine china and snap it over his skull. And it's my favorite. Like Peyton is in like some of these games are awful, and when they're bad, they're the best ones to watch because Peyton is just in the bad place, and it's my
Yes.
favorite thing in the world. Um, the third missed extra point right before halftime last
When
night,
he
as
just
they're talking
exits the
about the play.
screen.
Yeah, he just exits the screen and he comes back and asks if you can cut a kicker at halftime of a playoff game and if it's ever happened before.
Well, and Morton Anderson, former Falcons kicker,
Falcons
actually
Saints legend, the Great Dane himself.
the Great Dane on his Twitter account actually petitioned to see if the Cowboys needed a kicker. Mort could probably still hit it.
Mort, you mentioned it last night, John, that like Mort probably good inside of 40. I would
Uh-huh.
not ask Mort to kick outside of 40 because I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if he probably could just to spite me.
Mm-hmm.
But I would not ask him to kick outside of 40. But yeah, inside of 40, Mort's probably still the Great Dane probably still put it through the uprights. Will says the double doink level bad. And the double doink is just like, oh man, I wasn't even I don't even want to bring that up with you because I know it hurts. A friend of mine is a Bears fan. He doesn't like talking about it, so I don't bring it up. I'm
Yeah.
trying to be nice.
Yes. So to answer your question, I think Brett Maher still has a job considering how he was in the regular season for the Cowboys. And I think to bring in someone at this point of the season, heading into another playoff game, a divisional, a conference semifinal, I don't know how smart that would be. So I think from everything that Brett Maher has done for the Cowboys, I think he hangs around. I just think it was one of those nights. And I mean, when you have a PAT slice off the absolute top of the upright, that's the kind of night he was having. I think that was.
Yeah,
I mean, I
was
think that was.
artistic.
Yeah, I mean that takes a special amount of kicking talent to go slipping in off of the top of the upright in and of itself. I think Brett Maher is still employed, but I think what they do is bring in kickers to kind of sit there and kind of remind Brett that being employed as a kicker in the National Football League
He's going to show
is
up in
a
a
week to
facility, and
week.
somebody else is going to be out there
Mm-hmm.
with the somebody else is going to be out there, training,
Yeah, it's like, oh, who's that?
taking field goals.
Oh no, he's just training. He's just training, Brett. It's cool. Just go out there and do your thing, and then, so that'll be kind of the reminder for Brett Maher about his future.
Yeah.
So, we've got thoughts with everybody discuss. Oh, Super League. Will be
Discussing Justin Fields like being a great quarterback. How dare you disrespect Rex Grossman, sir?
Yeah, really.
Rex Grossman who took you to a Super Bowl.
Bobby Douglas, Bob Avellini, all of those, and Niall.
We're talking about people who didn't play with leather helmets.
Yes. Sid Luckman did. Niall, I'm right there with you, brother. I'm still waiting for Ted Lasso season 3, and
I'm hoping they end it there. Just end it. Not because I don't like it, but just like have a solid, natural ending to the show, please.
A beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah,
that's what I'm staring at.
I don't want this to drag
on. Let's see. So Bart in transfers down here from our friends over at DSS. Quoting, I do think the lack of solid rumors surrounding Atlanta United transfers means they're looking more toward Europe or domestically to add players. To me, that just means they're looking. I mean, period. I mean, tell me something that isn't out of the ordinary. But that's the thing. It's like, because you don't hear rumors, they're looking.
To be fair, I see. I think I get what he's going in. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like, we're so used to them shopping in South America, and like, Atlanta United only goes to Lidl. South America is Lidl in this analogy. They only go to Lidl.
Okay.
All of a sudden, I'm at Aldi or I'm at
Ah,
Trader Joe's,
Aldi
and
versus Lidl. Okay.
oh, I'm somewhere else, and there's Atlanta United. What are you guys doing here?
Hmm.
Didn't expect you to see you here.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what he's getting at. And yeah, feel
Well,
free to correct me if I'm wrong.
yeah. I
Of course.
mean, I just, I look at it. There will be a point where, and this gets into this does get into shopping in and of itself, and we can continue to sit there and talk about our favorite stores as to carry on this analogy. There's going to be a point where you're shopping at Lidl and then everybody else starts shopping at Lidl. You've got to find that next place that not everyone is shopping at to get your bargains and to get the things that you like. And so there will be that moment in shopping at from Lidl where you're going to move on, and there's going to be that point where you're going to have saturation, and everybody's like, oh, so Team A went to South America. Let's go to South America, and so everybody goes to South America, and then you have to find that next part of the planet where folks aren't to find that next round of talent. And I think, Jarrett, it's something that you see with your time following Celtic is that the Far East, I think, is the next South America, if that makes sense.
Maybe, and it's all cyclical. Like you find good players. Like one of the best players in the Premier League is South Korean.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's not like South America. It's not like the Far East has never created good players. We're not saying that. Yes, Lidl is a weird place. Lidl is a wonderfully weird place, and I love everything about it. You're absolutely correct that it's weird, but it's nice. I like it. It makes me happy. Um, Also, I can go get like if I go in the morning after I drop my daughter off at school, I can go get croissants, and that makes me happy.
Oh, there you
Um, yeah, and they're not Walmart muffins, John.
go. Okay, fine. So maybe okay. So then with Bart's question, Bart will be joining us tomorrow for his weekly Wednesday visit, by the way, because we've got women's national team to talk about, men's national team to talk about, and soccer for USPOD 52 to talk about. So what is MLS in this scenario? Walmart, Costco, or Dollar General?
Um,
Niall says
mm,
Costco.
it might be Costco. Yeah, I don't hate that comparison.
No,
Let's go with
yeah,
Costco.
I don't think it's Walmart or Dollar General. I think that they're kind of hemmed in with their price point, but it's not completely and totally no 4 card, not Dollar Tree.
Not
Come
Dollar
on.
Tree. That's Nisa.
Yeah, yeah, that is Nisa,
Actually,
especially.
actually, no. Dollar Tree might be too high. Dollar Tree might be too high dollar for Nisa. Nisa's got to get right with God.
Yeah, they
Nisa's
do.
got some work they got to do.
They do. What would
Also,
be
also North
flea
Carolina's
market?
got some work they got to do.
Yeah.
Well, because there's this hope for Nisa that it would be really good, and
Mm-hmm.
it hasn't been. Like you've just had so many issues with Nisa,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I don't think it was irrational to hope that it could be a fun challenge to lower divisions, and they just haven't been able to sustain anything. So, don't know how Nisa fixes that. Good luck, I guess.
Yeah. And when you think about just where things are with all of our friends and our stores, you know, you're looking for those bargains, and then 2 4 cards point. You don't knock Dollar Tree, but there are those avant-garde stores that are like they're not like chains or anything. They're maybe they're like a Trader Joe's or something like that, and then they develop into these larger chains and things. But no, I think that there will be a point where everybody starts going to South America, and the first team that zigs when
Oh,
everybody
everybody's
else is.
already going. Everybody's been going to South America, though, man.
But no, but I mean, like literally taking each and every country. I know that Modaflow would be discussing Ecuador, and I think that Ecuador is still an untapped market. But I know that everybody's going to Brazil and Argentina and Uruguay and Paraguay. I think that when you literally have gone to any and all of the markets down there, that
you know what MLS is? MLS is Buc-ee's.
Oh, okay.
MLS might be Buc-ee's.
Okay, well,
I need Mike Conti for this conversation. Mike would be able to feed into this.
Yeah, so
there's probably a Sheets conversation to be had as well.
Yeah. So reach out to Mike on the Twitters and ask him, as we carried this analogy down, where MLS is in this conversation. Yeah, and Niall, to your point, yeah, it's an untapped market in Major League Soccer, and I think it could be and Niall thinks it could be interesting, and I think that as Jared has seen, I think that might be the next one to look at here when it comes to the talent pool. I think that you're looking at the Far East when it comes to checking in for things. Speaking of, we like I said, Bart's going to be on tomorrow. Mike probably would say MLS is Wawa. That is very, very true.
Mike's a Philly guy.
So he
would, man.
Yeah, so he would be locked into. Oh, what was if it's not Wawa, it's the what was the one that's attached to the Wegmans? That was the one I was trying to think of.
Woolworths.
No, Wegmans. It's specifically up in the Northeast, but I think Mike would probably say Wawa, if not Buc-ee's. Couple of things before you go, getting into the TV aspect of things. And like I said, and Bart will be with us tomorrow to break stuff down when it comes to the men's and women's national team. And I wanted to get into this because it broke before the show this morning. The U.S. Soccer and Telemundo reached a 4-year media deal, running through the 26 World Cup here in North America, just in time for the women's national team's first match of 2023, which is tonight on HBO Max. And it is first Spanish language tie-up since it split from Soccer United Marketing, which sold the Fed's media rights in a package with MLS matches, marks the end of the Federation's 15-year run with Univision. And so the U.S. soccer package features more than 20 men's and women's national team matches a year, including friendlies, She Believes, select Nations League matches. U.S. Soccer Chief Commercial Officer David Wright said the deal marks the first time the Federation's Spanish-language partner has committed to distributing every men's and women's national team match. Telemundo will spread the matches out across its broadcast network, Universo, Peacock, Telemundo Digital. Tonight's women's match airs on Universo, streaming on Peacock and the Telemundo app. Telemundo's portfolio also has the 2023 Women's World Cup, the Olympics, and the World Championships here in this continent in 26. The deal will allow the network to air send-off matches leading into the 3 events and creating ancillary programming. This sounds fantastic.
Reading QT versus racetrack arguments. This is the natural progression.
Of course it is.
All I know is I remember driving down Peachtree when they put like the QT on Peachtree. That was like the QT store, and like, oh man, we are just straying from God's light over here.
Univision has the Men's Nations League Final Four. According to Jonathan Tannenwald, he thinks CBS has it in English, Gold Cup, and CONCACAF youth tournaments too. So Univision is building up their portfolio. Wright described the Spanish language agreement as the second leg to the organization's 4-legged, quote, media stool, end quote. First leg was the 8-year English language deal they signed last year with Warner Brothers Discovery, which also begins tonight with HBO Max. Third leg is the international rights deal. IMG previously held those rights in a package with MLS Global, and then radio would be the final leg, although nothing is imminent. So huzzahs and applause for getting this deal done when it comes to the Spanish language version.
We also have Niall pointing out, and I saw this rumored last week, I think it was, but it sounds like Charleston Battery are getting Tristan Traeger in their life.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Tristan Traeger does with Ben Pierman as head coach in Charleston. By all accounts, everyone who has been looking at all of the offseason acquisitions Charleston has been getting high marks across the board. So Tristan Traeger heading to Charleston to be the point at Patriots Point. Looking forward to seeing that in USL Championship next year. But there was that piece of TV news, and then the other piece of TV news that I wanted to bring up before you go is from our friends at Awful announcing the NWSL media rights are heading to market after the CBS exclusive negotiating window lapses. So you now get your crack at it. Jessica Berman, the commissioner, confirmed the exclusive negotiating window had lapsed. 2023 is the final year of the deal with CBS, which pays a reported $4.5 million over the life of the 3-year deal. So it's $1.5 million a season. Per Sports Business Journal, NWSL is also looking for a 1-year bridge deal for international streaming rights in 2023. Quoting SBJ, in addition to addressing the media rights, spokesperson said the league seeking that stopgap deal for international streaming following the expiration of its deal with Twitch at the end of the 22 season. The Twitch deal included international streaming of all matches as well as domestic streaming for a select package of games, which will be shifted to Paramount Plus this season. Plenty of questions. Obviously, now you're looking for a partner. Is it CBS? Is it the 4-letter? Is it NBC? All of them have soccer as a part of their footprint. Fox is obviously into more event than league, so I don't think that Fox would be associated with it. If you're looking at new partners, is it Scripps with what they're trying to build with what we used to know as Ion? Is it Warner Brothers Discovery, who has U.S. soccer?
I don't trust Warner Brothers Discovery as far as I can throw them right now. They can't. They just are so all over the damn map.
Yes, that is true.
I don't trust them right now. Like, you call what it is. Also, Burn. Charleston could not open the airlock fast enough to put Connor Casey out of it. They fired Connor Casey so deep into space, we're going to get radio signals, millions of years from now about him. They could not possibly get him out of the airlock fast enough. That was just
Voyager will be catching up with Connor Casey in short order, I believe.
That was a match made in hell. As far as the NWSL goes, man, would you be? And I guess this is one where I'd want to talk to Bart about it tomorrow. Would it be surprising? And I'm asking. I don't know, so I'm asking people's opinion. Would it be surprising if they ended up staying with Paramount, with like Paramount Plus CBS after going to market? Like, they go to market and nothing out here fits for us. We're just going to stay home.
Yeah. No, that does make a lot of sense when it comes to what you're staring at, but you're also looking to improve on that deal heading into a World Cup cycle that was 3 years at $1.5 million, and you're looking at that for your new contract, and so that's what you're staring at. So that's the key for me. You got to match the deal that's on the table and figure out how to proceed from there. But I think that with what we saw in places like San Diego and in Angel City, that you could end up with a deal that was an improvement, but you might have to be a little imaginative when it comes to what you're staring at.
Yeah. And we'll see. I mean, the NWSL has got a lot they've got to work through anyway.
That is true.
They're still dealing with the fallout from all of the scandals. They've basically told a bunch of people, get the hell out of Dodge. We don't want you around. You are banned. You are banished. If we're gonna break out Jar Jar Binks, which we should always do to remind people that Jar Jar Binks existed, and there's nothing we can do to unmake that mistake. But they've got a lot they got to fix right now, and I know they're trying to expand. They're trying to do things to build the brand out. They're getting new clubs in. I believe Minnesota Aurora were exploring making that move eventually as well. Minnesota Aurora, who finished as runners-up to the USLW League last year because they decided to mess around with the Tormenta women's team and found out in the championship game and lost their only game of the year. Then no reason we're bringing that up. Good job, Tormenta. Yeah, I want to see how this. I want to see how these negotiations go and how everything kind of builds up. As far as like how they're the beach life got John. John was taken by some beach monster, I believe. We will hold a candlelight vigil later for John. The beach monster, though, does not share the same decency. Jason Nix, is Tormenta's women's team the closest women's team in the Atlanta area? Yeah, at that level, probably. Yeah, I would think so. I'd have to like pull out a map and like a compass and a sextant. Neither of which I have. I have a compass nearby, but I don't have anything else nearby. I believe they are. Yeah, Greenville's women's team. Thanks, Bart. Yeah, Greenville's women's team is there as well. Yeah, you don't really have like an NWSL team in shouting distance to Atlanta. That's kind of a weird thing. God, I see you guys. Now I want to go get like. I don't want to go like to a Buc-ee's, but the closest Buc-ee's is 40 minutes away, and I don't actually intend to go up 75 today. So yeah, yeah. I'm talking about Barcelona. Femini gets more of their sleeve sponsors than the entire NWSL gets for the TV rights. Income disparity. Yeah, man, this is it's wild. The income disparity is wild, and I have a very big what might have been energy about all of it personally, about what might have been with NWSL if you just had kept things moving in the right direction and you just kept growing and maybe not having so many issues. Because yeah, it's moved forward after the occasional stop start, like a car with a bad battery. But overall, it's just almost like it's this sense of frustration that comes with NWSL, and especially watching the rest of the world really pass them by in a lot of ways. You know, players, the big name players, moving over to Europe, moving over to play for Lyon back in the day. PSG, Barcelona, over to England. So many of these players doing that, and NWSL was that place. And now these other leagues are investing the money, investing the resources to be a place to go. And I don't think it's unfair to ask, like, hey, NWSL, what are you going to do about it? I mean, of course, get your house in order first. But yeah, that would be it'd be nice to see them do that. I don't know where John is. I think John's computer might have actually died, which has been a long time coming. If it's the same computer that it always has been, unless he got a new one and I missed it, then that computer has been a long time coming. It was powered by two gerbils and a fan.
Yes.
It was. Oh my God, he got it right. He got it fixed. The computer staves off death for another day. Oh well.
I don't know. I legitimately do not know what happened. I guess it had to do with me trying to read something off of awful announcing and trying to.
Oh yeah, you crashed everything.
Well, I crashed. Yeah. It's all here. No, you kept going and you soliloquied very well.
We just answered questions, and it's literally me just complaining about NWSL, like about what might have been with NWSL. On that note, I actually am done for the day, though. I was just basically stalling for you.
Yes, thank you for stalling. So we're going to continue. We're going to continue, and so there goes Jarrett, and I'm back. So, all right. So here's what happened. I guess with what was going on with the video sections and things like that with awful announcing. As I was trying to X out of things, it was like locked up and completely dumped my element in all of this. So, but now I'm back. But so we're back, and it's and Burn. Yeah, I know Arsenal and see, and that's the thing, with Arsenal and Chelsea, 46,000 on in attendance on Sunday. And I think that it just comes down to when you invest and when you show what you can do, what you literally can do. If you invest, you have faith in the product, and you invest in the product, then you get what we've seen. And you have things like Arsenal and Chelsea. You have Barca Real Madrid with what was it, over 80,000. So last time out, and I think it comes down to having faith in the product and investing, and understand that it's not going to be a quick fix. It is not going to be a quick fix. So that's the way that I think that you've got to look at things, and it is a long-term investment. Yeah, 91,000. Thank you, Bern. When you have fans and you have faith and you are investing and you're showing what it can be, then in turn you end up with what you get. So that's really how things are. And when Bart comes on tomorrow, we will continue to discuss the women's national team. And by the way, if you haven't seen the new Sports Center ad, very, very cool stuff with Sophia Smith, Megan Rapinoe, Becky Sauerbrunn. Very, very cool 30-second ad that they've just released. Okay, so it is now top of the hour, and it's time to do the promo. So let me see if I can unleash the promo without crashing this once more. So that means we go down to the music, we take out the loop, we narrow it down to 19 on the bar-ish, or 18 or 20. So we'll see what happens there. And we hit rock, and we talk about our friends from Eliminize at some point, as it continues to think. There we go. Eliminize Service, Rotor-Free Clean Fresh Air. Eliminize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH. And it's a very, very green way of going about things these days. We like that when it comes to odor-free, clean, fresh air. Realtors and property managers work with our friends at Eliminize to make sure that everything is as squared away as possible and as fantastic as it can be when it comes to getting rid of all of the odors in your homes. It's different than our favorite masking agents that we have either under the sink or above us in the cupboard, because when we reach under the sink or above us in the cupboard, pull out said masking agent, you spray that masking agent out in the air. You know what? That's the reason they call it a masking agent, because of that. It doesn't attack the issue all the way down to the molecule like our friends at Eliminize Service do. Pricing one of two ways, either by the cubic foot or parts per million, to come up with a price that's affordable for you when it comes to tackling the issues. And QR code is not over my left shoulder or my right shoulder, which has more room today, as I'm trying to make sure that the light from the sun doesn't come screaming through the light behind me. So there's a way to get in touch with our friends at Eliminize. It's through the website. Go to eliminize.com, and this is where I grab my pen, because I've had it in my hand all morning long. Do us a favor, though. After eliminize.com, go /Atlanta, so they know what part of the world that you are asking them to help them attack your problem for your full homework assignment. eliminize.com/Atlanta, eliminize.com/Atlanta for odor-free, clean, fresh air. Eliminize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH, as we take on hour number 2 here on a Tuesday. All right, so we get to try to slow the music down or fade the music out. Breaking news out of St. Louis City, SC, involving a Georgia product. And we'll have that news coming up here in just a sec. So there's that. And the developing story out of St. Louis. Oh, that's right. It's amazing what happens when you turn the music down. You want to play a drop, and it doesn't quite work. There's a reason why, because they can't hear it, John. Nicely done. So let's try this again.
Let me talk to you.
All right. So news out of St. Louis City. They've acquired Indiana Vasilev from Aston Villa. Club announced today Vasilev signed to a 2-year contract through the end of the 2024 MLS regular season. So the product of the coast, Indiana Vasilev, now a part of things with St. Louis City. Through the end of 24, options for 25 and 26, acquired his rights through the MLS expansion draft. Quote from Lutz Pfannenstiel from St. Louis City, SC. For country, Vasilev, risen within the youth national team ranks, 21 years old, 5'8" out of Savannah, Georgia. And so now it is signed to a 2-year deal through the end of 24, options for 25 and 26. You have 26 players now under contract for St. Louis City, 2 DPs, Joao Klaus and Edward Lewin. You've got Roman Berkey in net with Ben Lund. You've got Kyle Hebert, Joachim Nielsen, Tim Parker, Josh Yarrow at center back, wing back, John Nelson, no relation, Jake Nerwinski in the midfield. You've got Rasmus Alm, Isak Jensen, Tomas Ostrak, Schneider, Jared Stroud, Vasilev now in your attacking midfield, defensive mids, Njobu Blom, Edward Lewin, and Akil Watts up top. You've got Nico Gioacchini, Samuel Adeniran, and Caden Glover, the homegrown product who signed, I believe, at the age of 15. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll see if we can catch up with Indiana. We'll catch up with our friends at St. Louis City and see if we can catch up and get the latest from our friend Indiana Vasilev when it comes to St. Louis. Yes, exactly, Bart. City SC. So we'll keep an eye on that as we head into hour number 2. In hour number 2, there was something that I wanted to get into that I thought was really, really interesting. And it comes from our friend Stephen Bank, Prof. Bank on Twitter. And Stephen is a UCLA law professor and is a must-follow, really, if you like the legal side of things. And is a go-to even if he's not a must-follow for you. Most of his tweets, by his own admission, sports law or business law. But yesterday, Professor Bank came up with this storyline out of the USL and the USLPA, and it was really, really interesting. And it's something that we see. Yes, OG, they are in the West because Nashville has now come east. So that's your trade for this year. But this is what happened yesterday from Prof. Bank, and it is a Twitter thread. So let me read it for you so we can understand what's going on. Prof. Bank, he says, in what may be a first for the USL Players Association, it filed a suit in federal court against the operator of Charlotte Independence for failure to comply with a final and binding award issued pursuant to the grievance process under the league's just over 1-year-old CBA. The USLPA filed a grievance on behalf of Enzo Martinez. We know Enzo Martinez from his time in Charlotte and from his time in Birmingham. Enzo had a contract with Independence that ran through 2022, even though the team dropped from USL Championship to USL League One for 2022. The issue was how to deal with the wages given the drop in level. What's interesting legally, and this is Professor Bank talking, about this otherwise routine pay dispute is that it effectively mimics a situation common in Europe and other jurisdictions with pro rel, but not in the United States. What to do about a guaranteed contract when the team drops a level? Martinez's case was covered by the new USL CBA, which was ratified in late 2021. Charlotte had 2 options. 1, pay him under the old deal or agree to a new one, or pay an amount equal to 3 months of the old deal. Charlotte apparently resisted. A grievance committee was appointed under the CBA and awarded Martinez $27,500 plus interest. It was supposed to be paid by June of last year, but apparently it has not, leading the USLPA to file suit on Martinez's behalf to enforce the award. We'll have to wait for the club's response, once again, Professor Bank, to know more about any legal or factual issues in the dispute. But right now, it presents an interesting look at the process for dealing with player contracts in a relegation-like scenario under the USL CBA, even though it wasn't quite a relegation scenario for for Charlotte Independence, they chose to drop a level to go to USL League One, and we all know that the USL is debating a pro rel setup. So we will see what comes out of this. But it was a very interesting thing that we saw involving Enzo Martinez, the USL and the USLPA, and so just to kind of keep an eye on that, especially if teams continue from USL Championship and they want to go back and drop into USL League One for financials before USL orchestrates what they want to do in a pro rel scenario. So that was a very, very interesting thing that came across our bow yesterday. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. We'll get into Ramsdale and Richarlison here coming up in just a bit, but getting into all of the gossip, rumor, and innuendo when it comes who's going where, and if you have a subscription to The Athletic, Adam Crafton caught up with Sergei Palkin and of Shakhtar Donetsk about the dynamic involving the purchase of Mikhailo Mudryk to Chelsea as opposed to Arsenal, and so that would be your that would be your must read. That'd be your required / requested reading for the day. So here's your transfer gossip. Arsenal have made Declan Rice out of West Ham their top transfer target this summer, confident of beating Chelsea to his signing. That's from the Sunday Times. Borussia Dortmund sporting director Sebastian Kiel planning talks with Jude Bellingham and his parents. Said there have been no offers for him. That comes from Kicker in German. Dortmund interested in signing Manchester United's 20-year-old Sweden winger Anthony Elanga, who's fallen down the pecking order at Old Trafford because of Garnacho's rise. That's from our friends at TalkSport. Manchester United holding talks with Inter Milan about Netherlands right-back Denzel Dumfries with a fee of about £35 million being discussed. Spurs remain in talks with Sporting Lisbon about signing Spain's defender Pedro Porro, but unwilling to meet the €45 million, £40 million release clause up front. Rafinha, who's been linked with Arsenal, has no intention of leaving Barca in January from Mundo Deportivo. Newcastle looking at signing one of three players from Chelsea: Conor Gallagher, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, or Hakim Ziyech this month. They have their eyes on Gallagher. I guess this might even be in order. Gallagher would be their top thought. Alex, what do you think? Alex Bassine, what do you think? Okay, Bart, you don't have to read it. That's why I said it's required. RB Leipzig sporting director Max Eberl says the signs are very clear. 25-year-old France forward Christopher Nkunku will join Chelsea. Everybody's joining Chelsea. That comes from our friends at Build. Newcastle have joined Leicester City in the race for Fiorentina's 24-year-old Argentina forward Nico Gonzalez, but the Serie A club will not let him go for less than £40 million. Everton and Newcastle holding talks over signing Bayer Leverkusen and Ecuador defender Piero Hincapié, who's also been linked with Spurs. Leeds have increased their £22 million bid for Angers midfielder Azzedine Ounahi, who we all remember did fantastic work for Morocco at the 2022 World Cup. Chelsea and Spurs are no longer chasing Everton's 21-year-old English forward Anthony Gordon, which brings us to our discussion about Everton, since it was requested by, or was it requested, Tom? My question of the day was, who's going to get fired first? Sacked. When you look at the Premier League right now, since we've hit a stopping point with Everton, and you look at the standings, and yes, I accept all cookies. Goodness gracious. How many times have I accepted all cookies when logging onto this website? Right now. So here's the deal. With the table in the Prem, we know, well, let's skip to the lower half. So the lower half right now has Nottingham Forest at 13th at 20 points. And so you have 5 points separating 13th from bottom. You have 2 points separating 14th from bottom. Forest is at 20 points. Leeds United, Leicester City, Wolves, they're all at 17. Leeds is ahead in 14th, and you have to go down multiple tiebreakers. when it comes to everything. Leeds and Leicester tied on goals scored, goals allowed, goal difference, all that kind of stuff. Leeds has played one less match, points per game average. Leicester, 17 points in 15th. Wolves, 17 points, goal difference minus 15 in 16th. Bournemouth snapped their 4-game losing streak with a win last time out. They're at 16 points. West Ham, Everton, Southampton, they are all currently in the relegation zone. And you are looking at minus 10, minus 11, minus 17. So 7 goals separating West Ham, Everton, and Southampton. Apparently, David Moyes is on a game-by-game basis when it comes to coaching West Ham. But you look at the pressure with Jesse Marsch at Leeds, pressure with Brendan Rodgers at Leicester. Wolves have already brought in Julian Lopetegui. Bournemouth gave Gary O'Neill the deal, so he is their coach until further notice. West Ham with Moyes, Everton with Lampard. Southampton's already made their change. So who gets sacked next? Is it Marsch? Is it Rodgers? Is it Moyes? Is it Lampard? That's what you're staring at. And I think that it could be the West Ham-Everton match that's coming up next, could be the decider in who stays and who goes. So, it's I don't know if I can fit it all in here in the Twitch pitch. Hey, look, the beauty of the Twitch pitch, Tom, is that you can fire off as much as possible. It is all good. And I know that Alex don't know that you want to be rooting around in the Chelsea recycling bin. Conor Gallagher, I think, could be a decent pickup, but it's once again trying to figure out fit. Who could you pull from those three, and who would fit the most? Yeah, and no doubt about it. Insanity and dysfunction crazier than anything you've seen on any team ever, and it's carried over the last two seasons when it comes to everything going on with Everton. Sorry, there's a vacuum that happens when you open a door and then when you close a door. So everything going on here this morning on the other side of the hallway. So I'm sorry if you heard that loud noise. Yeah, I know you want Moises Caicedo. That wouldn't be a bad pickup. Remember, I mean, we always talk about it, but Moises Caicedo, 4 years ago, we were talking about Moises Caicedo. Jason was talking about Moises Caicedo. And then it's free Moises, play Moises at Brighton, all these kinds of things. So all out of just craziness right now when it comes to everything going on with who's in, who's out, and Chelsea just spending money like they've got their parents' credit card, and they don't care. Parents' credit card, and they're ready to go. Also on the board this morning when it comes to everything going on, Tottenham and Liverpool among the clubs to be offered Arnaud Danjuma by Villarreal. Spanish club have only received bids from Everton and Bournemouth. That's from our friends at Relevo. Orlando City Uruguayan striker Facundo Torres says Arsenal have held talks about signing him. That's from our friends at Goal. Brighton interested in Tati Castellanos, who's on loan at Girona. How about that? Brighton and Tati Castellanos. We'll keep an eye on that. According to our friends at The Independent. William Saliba says he's so happy at Arsenal. As talks about a new deal continue. That's from our friends at The Independent. Juve prioritizing signing Roma and former England defender Chris Smalling on a free this summer from our friends at Tutto Sport. Numerous is the word. Championship and League One clubs have made contact with Chelsea about a loan move for 19-year-old English defender Bashir Humphreys, who made his debut in FA Cup third-round tie against Manchester City. Norwich is going to target Middlesbrough's Tommy Smith if Max Aarons leaves in January. That's from the Mirror. So that is round one of gossip, rumor, and innuendo. So let's go to round two as we sort through the papers in and of themselves. And once again, having to accept cookies from websites even after you've repeatedly done it. All right, so let's go into the papers and get the paper talk. Liverpool apparently is planning significant changes. Put those words in quotes. Braced for a summer of significant changes, Jurgen Klopp will not be among them, with the manager intent on overseeing the improvements needed to make the club a force again. So we'll see what happens there. Once again, Arsenal reinforced with Declan Rice. Everton set to implement improved security procedures and protocols for the showdown with Arsenal next month, a fixture which has been categorized as high risk. Our friends at The Guardian, speaking of which, let me get into the Guardian story. as we're discussing what's going on with soccer. Everton police, according to Andy Hunter at The Guardian, Merseyside police have said they did not receive reports of the threats that kept Everton's board of directors away from Goodison Park on Saturday. The chairman, Bill Kinwright, chief executive, Denise Barrett-Baxendale, CFO, Grant Ingalls, non-executive director, what's a non-executive director? Graham Sharp, instructed by Everton security advisors not to attend the loss to Southampton because of what the club described as a real and credible threat to their safety and security. Police have confirmed they are liaising, there's a word, liaising with Everton over the alleged threats, and that none were reported before the club announced that the directors would not be in attendance on Saturday. And remember the sit-in that we talked about on Monday, the sit-in after the game is a demonstration against the board. Police came out with a 3-paragraph statement. Everton have said they're reviewing all match day, non-match day security arrangements following Southampton. And Everton, meanwhile, interested in the loan for deal for Kamaldeen Sulemana, who is also a target for Bournemouth. So that's the latest out of what we're looking at with Everton. Also on the board from the Times, Helen McNamara, one of the Prem's leading executives, has left the organization after less than 2 years in the post. Telegraph, Chelsea's enormous transfer spend has set off alarm bells inside the club's highly rated academy and alerted German clubs to the possibility of signing some of the club's best homegrown youngsters. We'll keep an eye on that. Everton's hopes of securing vital investment into the club or a full takeover have been dealt a blow after Amasia Kaminski stepped back from talks with Farhad Mashiri. Now I know what you're also getting into there, Tom, as well. The Athletic mentioning Wolves have agreed on a fee in the region of £4.5 million for the signing of Pablo Sarabia from PSG. Avoiding the 4-letter paper, Evening Standard, we mentioned Facundo Torres. Graham Potter, according to the Evening Standard, will have to drop first-team stars from Chelsea's Champions League squad list to register Mudryk, Joao Felix, and Badiashile to face Borussia Dortmund in February. We'll see who gets dropped. Also, avoiding the 3-letter paper, Daily Mirror, Arsenal have been offered Leandro Trossard after losing out on long-term target Mikhailo Mudryk, but face competition from Spurs for the Brighton star. The talk was somewhere between 25 and 35 million pounds. Marco Reus's agents spotted watching Manchester United's win over Manchester City Saturday afternoon as the Borussia Dortmund star weighs up his future. And the Daily Record, Rangers have targeted Swansea's Morgan Whittaker, and the winger's keen to become part of Michael Beale's Ibrox revolution. SFA and SPFL have confirmed that they will look to mitigate the impact of weather on Hampton ahead of the Viaplay Cup showdown with Rangers and Celtic next month. And Christian Ramirez, we forgot to mention this with Jared on. Christian Ramirez, it looks like, he's flown back to America as he waits for a crew to strike a deal with Aberdeen. Looks like that the idea is a 3-year deal for Christian Ramirez to come back to Major League Soccer. And that's where it looks like C-Ram might be heading back to Major League Soccer and hanging out with our friends in Columbus. All right, so Tom, as always, popped into one of Liverpool-based fan spaces yesterday, and it was absolute craziness. Fans accusing the club of lying about the supposed assault on one of the board members, saying there have been no reports filed with Merseyside police. With all the calls for the board's head, fans are saying the board is lying to discredit the fans. It's an absolute shambles, and of course, it's all on top of the mess in the pitch itself. Lampard is a disaster and quite out of his depth. So, yeah, that is not fun times if you are Everton. Also, at the Athletic, figures familiar with deal discussions believe it's going to proceed with the summer. No credible suggestion Leeds will pass on anyone other than 49ers Enterprises. Phil Hay and MJ Shrimper are looking at Leeds, Rod Rosani and the 49ers as they continue. A takeover is not ruled out if Leeds is relegated, but does not include a different price to be applied. So it looks like 49ers are looking to increase their stake in Leeds, and we'll see what is going on there. Ramsdale and Richarlison. So Ramsdale and the Guardian. We got into that discussion yesterday of Ramsdale and the play. Okay, so Aaron Ramsdale celebrations not to blame for the attack by a Spurs fan, says the PFA. Sean Engel, Professional Footballers Association has made clear nothing that happens on the pitch justifies a spectator attacking a player after Aaron Ramsdale was kicked at the end of the North London Derby. We've seen the video. Ramsdale went to get his water bottle, kicked in the back by a fan. In a message to its members on Monday, the PFA said the Arsenal keeper was not to blame as it called for better protection of its members at their place of work. While not referencing Ramsdale in their 2 paragraphs, the PFA alluded to an incident in the game between Spurs and Arsenal in their email. PFA spokesperson welcomed the recent emphasis on stopping fans entering the field of play after a number of pitch invasions at the end of last season, said more investment and resources were needed to protect players at matches. Then that goes to Richarlison's comments from our friends at the 4-letter. And Richarlison is, not one to mince words under any circumstance. And so we will grab his comments just for the sake of compare and contrast. And he blasts the disrespectful rival, Aaron Ramsdale. Disrespectful to Spurs fans by celebrating. Richarlison shoved Ramsdale after the keeper raised his arms, kissed his jersey. Ramsdale kicked in the back. Richarlison told ESPN regarding Ramsdale, quote, what I really didn't like was their goalkeeper going to celebrate in front of our fans. It's kind of disrespectful to our fans. He has his fans. He has to go celebrate with his fans, not to be cute with our fans. Richarlison said he didn't fear punishment for his actions. Yeah, no question, Will. He's got to be found out, banned, picture everywhere, doesn't show up for another match ever again. Richarlison, punishment, nothing. People know that we tried to do our best, but you have to respect other teams. He, meaning Ramsdale, lacked respect there, and I went there to call him up on it. Let's see. As Martinelli was about to take the corner, saw Richarlison warming up as a sub, extended his arm for a fist pump, only to be denied. Richarlison said he was upset at Martinelli because he dived in an earlier play. So Richarlison had exchanges with Martinelli and Magalhaes. I want to apologize to him. He put his hand out, and I didn't, like it or not. He's my Brazil teammate. This is a part of it. It's a derby. We were hot-headed with Gabriel. I argued a little because he was holding up the game. He ended up getting a yellow. I said to him, let's play, and he was holding up the game. Spurs said they're working with Arsenal and local authorities to help identify the fan. But, yeah, that fan's got to be found out, and he does not bring him up on assault charges, frankly. Bring him up on assault charges, anything possible. When it comes to an appropriate crime, first off, you don't go to any more matches. You're banned for life. Will, you're spot on there. And assault. And, we saw what happened with Bam in the A-League, sadly. So we'll see if there's anything close when it comes to that as well. So that's your latest. So Richarlison's still not happy with Aaron Ramsdale. And so we'll see what happens down the line. Does Richarlison get any kind of a note? Does he get a package from the FA about any kind of a suspension? Also on the board today, going through what you're staring at when it comes to the TV, your viewing habits today, and so we will. Go through all of that once again. Remember, you've got the match down in New Zealand tonight on HBO Max, ESPN Plus, doubleheader on the Copa del Rey. 1 and 3, Real Sociedad Mallorca, Alaves Sevilla. Belgian Jupiler League at 2:40, Standard Liège and Mechelen. FA Cup, 2:45 doubleheader, Wolves, Liverpool, and Forest Green Rovers in Birmingham City. This is a reschedule because the pitch was so bad when they tried to have it last time out. 10 o'clock on HBO Max is the women's friendly with New Zealand and the United States. Coppa Italia, Napoli, and Cremonese at 3 o'clock. That is on Paramount Plus. By the way, did you see that last time out, Memo Ochoa for Salernitana gave up 8 goals. First time that has ever happened in his career, having a number that large. And so that's going to be key for Salernitana, trying to stay alive in Serie A. But when you give up 8, goal difference could come up huge at the end of the year. So we'll keep an eye on that. When you have juice boxes for matches today, we will go through all of the early stuff. And once again, just remind you where things stand. Once again, Middle East and North Africa, That's coming up at the top of the hour with various cups and tournaments and things like that. Belgium, you end up with Eastern Europe heading to the middle of Europe as we get into the afternoon hours Eastern time. Once again, Middle Eastern leagues are going at it. You've got club friendlies, professional development leagues working your way through. We mentioned Liège and Mechelen because it's on the plus. Liège is at a plus 106. Mechelen's at a plus 238. FA Cup, handful of matches at 245. Forest Green, underdog at home against Birmingham City, who comes in at a plus 100. Accrington, Stanley, Boreham Wood has been postponed. Wigan and Luton Town on the road at a plus 163. Wolves and Liverpool favored at the Molineux at a plus 116. Swansea at a minus 123, hosting Bristol City, who is a plus 351. Your 90-minute draws a plus 260. Lower divisions going on in England, all the national leagues and Premier Leagues and Southern divisions and things like that. That's going on. FA Cup at 3 o'clock, West Brom and Chesterfield. West Brom, a big favorite. Daryl Dike, once he has gotten healthy, he's done really well for West Brom lately. He's at a minus 233, and Chesterfield's at a plus 600. Coppa Italia, since we mentioned it, Napoli, big favorite at a minus 370. That one's also at 3 o'clock. Brazil, a lot of competitions going on there, which leads you into the dinner hour. Liga de Expansión is on at 6:05. More club friendlies. Liga de Expansión is also at 8:05 with Celaya and Rayados. Celaya's at a minus 192. Your friendly tonight at 10 o'clock involving the women with the United States and New Zealand. The U.S. women are a minus 2,500. Once again, we know that Bart will be up late. He'll be watching. We'll catch up with Bart tomorrow and find out what is on Bart's mind and what takeaways you have from a match in New Zealand when you're a minus 2,500. Your last match at 10:05 is Liga de Expansión. Dorados in Cancun. Dorados at home are a minus 118. So with all of the things that have gone on this morning, it's been a pretty busy show. Log-ons, computers crashing, all that kind of stuff. And thanks to y'all for hanging out with us for once again another go-round of soccer down here. Don't forget, later today, both Prem and Propers will be out and about. Contributor Niles, Prem and Proper, will be out at noon. Sights and Sounds will be out later on this afternoon. If you missed it, the 865 Alliance interview from our friends in the NPSL, one of the new franchises there, that's also up. Bart Keeler and U.S. Keeper at U.S. Keeper Thomas. They had Soccer for USPOD, episode 52. That is up. Go ahead and listen to that. We'll have Bart on tomorrow to talk about Ep 52 and what happens tonight and everything else going forward. Dylan Butler should be joining us tomorrow as well. And we will continue to roll through the week on Thursday. Once again, Thursdays with Nico, live at 1:30 Eastern time. But before that, we're going to tape something to uncover what's going on in the Marshall Islands. It's a wild story. One of the smallest nations in the world is finally getting a national team. We're going to catch up with their head coach and technical director, Lloyd Hours, and find out why he ended up wanting to do something in the Marshall Islands. We'll tape that interview. That'll be out later on Thursday afternoon as well. Friday, we'll catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals, as we always do, and we will be back at it for yet another week here at SDH. So I know that the QOD is the next coach to get relegated in the Premier League. And we'll keep an eye on that because there are probably 4 candidates right now, 2 of them playing each other in the next round of matchups. And also we've got the updated sagas and stories, the latest on Joseph Martinez. We think it's going to be tomorrow announced if we listen to Michel Echegaray. We've got that. We have Alexander Callens. Is he? Where is he? Who's he going to be discussing? And then you also have the Yakamakis as well. So all of these things that we have here in the universe when our computers don't crash and you're not living next to wind tunnels and things like that. But no, for everybody here at SDH, thanks for hanging out with us for yet another go-round of soccer down here tomorrow. It is Dylan Butler. It is Bart Keeler. And we'll be discussing a boatload of things as we continue to roll through the world of soccer on a daily basis. Keep an eye on what's going on. Just file it in your hip pocket, what we saw with the USLPA and the Charlotte Independents and the new TV deals with Telemundo and U.S. women's, the men's national team and the women's national team. The news out of Telemundo this morning, NWSL window, Block party tickets just dropped, according to Jason Nix, February 18th at Atlanta Underground, a week before the regular season starts. So Atlanta United block party, February 18th at Underground Atlanta. We'll keep an eye on that as well. Thanks to all of y'all for hanging out with us for another go-round of soccer down here. It's the end of the show. Mucha plata, y'all. Played safe, everybody. We will see you tomorrow. And since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. We will catch up with you tomorrow. And be safe, everybody. We'll see you next time. Unless, of course, I run the wrong thing and I run it like it's the beginning of the show when it actually is the end of the show. Let's try it this way.